The next number 4 top story of the week was my high-level synopsis of the recent op return debates. This is from Unschooled Bitcoin Territory. This was 6 hours ago. 22 comments, so it's kind of snuck in. 1981 sats. EK, what's this? I've never heard of op return before.
So this is also about OP return.
Wow, what is that?
I have to admit, I did not get to read this article.
What?
But I like...
Keyan is able to do this every week. He's able to read everything right before the show. And you sub in 1 week, and
it's kind of like pretty impressive to get into the top 5 of the week in 7 hours.
I'm just saying, we have
schooled.
We have levels here. All right, keep
going. I remember that I read the first part, like with the whole analogy with art in a city. Like basically the quote from Stephen Livera in the post is about, imagine you have people drawing on walls, or like you have a wall that is meant to be drawn on in a city with graffiti, but then people are like, oh, I need more space. And then they just start spraying graffiti in places the city doesn't want them to spray graffiti. And the idea is to instead ban them from doing that stuff. We just give them the opportunity to, like, we just expand the art wall. So I'm not entirely sure if I agree if that's a good analogy, but I definitely like analogies because they make, like, they help to get closer to the problem.
Yeah.
So basically now we can argue, is that a good analogy? And why is that not a good analogy? I think it's not a good analogy because it's about art, and now we can argue, like, our inscriptions art, like, should be fine with them on chain. But yeah, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a different layer of the conversation. Kind of like I was saying, a lot of conversations here. What is spam? What is economical? What is Bitcoin for? Is Bitcoin inclusive of art and other meta protocols and use cases? Is it only economic? Is having an opinion on that wrong in the first place because you're asserting your opinion on something you can't control? Like, in a sense, it would be dumb of us to say that Bitcoin's not for art when people are posting art on Bitcoin outside of our control, following the consensus that we agree with, right? So it's like it becomes very nuanced in that regard.
I think maybe to, like, improve this analogy, it would be like we want to give them a space to make their art, but we make it easy to also remove it. So, like, we can reuse the art wall over and over again. Does that make sense? Like, because the OP return stuff, we can just prune it, so node runners don't have to deal with it as much as if they put it into the UTXO set. And I think that's what my question was before. Like, the bad part about UTXO set bloat is that it's like inexpensive memory, like in the like the random access memory. Like, it's basically indexing all the unspent transaction outputs.
Yeah, so I don't understand this post compared to the last post. Like, what's the difference between this post and the last post? Like, that's what I'm trying to understand. I'm sure the stackers are lost too. Like,
I mean,
what's this post about compared to the last post we just talked about?
He's trying to break down what's happening with Core, Citria, Knots, and then kind of the fears of why this changed.
Okay, so break down to me, like, what's Core, what's Citria, what's Knots? Like, explain that to the plebs. Like, what are these 3 things?
So Core is Bitcoin Core. This is where this PR is taking place and a change is being proposed. So let's just literally, I can read, this is the change being proposed in this PR that everyone started arguing over, right? That's why these stories.
And that's this place right here, right?
No.
I know it's on GitHub.
It's that right there.
Okay, so this is where, okay, so So
Yep.
re-say that all over again.
So let me just explain what this PR does. This PR, it removes a max op return relay limit, and it removes this data carrier and data carrier size configuration option.
Okay, gotcha. And Citria is who?
And they're saying they're doing this because they want to open up and make op return more accessible.
Which we just talked about.
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
They want people to use op return, and specifically
to move traffic in a certain way
for putting data into transactions. And specifically, this is being brought about because of Citria, which is an L2.
Oh, a shitcoin
company.
Right? Kind of. Yeah, they're claiming, I think it's something around like a BitVM roll up.
Sounds shitcoiny.
Type of L2.
Sounds shitcoiny. Okay, shitcoin. And then what's the other one you said?
But and Citria is the one creating unspendable outputs to make their protocol work. And that's I don't want to say it's scared, but it alarmed the core developers to say, hey, we need to change this incentive so that they use op return and we can keep that option available to them and they don't bloat the UTXO set, like EK was saying, by these unspendable outputs.
Okay, and then who's the third? You said Knots, and then explain to everybody what Knots is.
So Knots is an alternative implementation of Bitcoin, alternative to Bitcoin Core. It is being built by Luke Dash Jr., who is a proponent of anti-spam, meaning he's very strong in the belief that all of this extra data is spam, and he wants to do everything he can to keep it out of Bitcoin. So, think of him as the more right-wing side of things, more orderly.
So who's funding all these people? Because that's what I want to know. Like who's funding? Like who's funding Knots? Who's funding Citra? Then who's funding?
And
who's funding the core team?
It's so good thing you bring up here. I'm just realizing how many sides there are to the story. It's insane.
Well, this is where I think you need somebody who's like doesn't have skin in the game. Like I have no skin in the game other than just holding Bitcoin. So that's my skin in the game.
I don't have any skin in the game. Yeah. So Citria, this was not hidden. People acted like it was hidden. It was a big reveal. But Jameson Lopp was one of the investors in Citria.
Oh, ding, ding, ding.
And he, of course, is in support and making lots of
follow incentives, stackers. Follow incentives.
Very reasonable.
They never lie. They never lie.
And so, this is an easy thing to point out. Oh, there's obviously conflict of interest.
Total conflict of interest. There's only conflict of interest in Bitcoin.
Jameson Lopp has addressed this. I suggest that if you are going to be a critic and call conflict of interest, at least read what he has to say about it and try and be balanced. But,
I'm not balanced. All right, keep going. What's the other? Who's core? Who's
Knots?
So Bitcoin Knots, I don't really, it was just started, I don't think, with any funding whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
Luke is the one that forked it.
So no one's funding Luke.
I don't know. No, that's not. I'm pretty sure Luke has gotten grants and funds. I have no idea on the status of Luke.
So we don't know question mark
funding. But yeah, comparing Knots to Core, Knots has 1% of the,
we don't know who's funding. We don't know who's funding Luke, basically.
He's funding himself, I guess.
Yeah, he's funding himself. Like Ocean, he's the CTO.
So he's funding himself, it sounds like. Okay. Yeah. And then who's funding Core?
A lot of people.
So a lot of people are funding Core. Okay, there you go. We figured it out.
The WEF.
So we figured it out. All right, so I think I understand. I think I understand this. I think I understand this post now. It sounds like people are trying to get a high level understanding of why this change is even being talked about and why they're making it in the first place. Yeah, it sounds like it's all around Citria.
Can I and it's a bigger conversation. Let me just close it off since there's too much here, but
so much drama, dude.
Yeah, just this is. If you're thinking, what do I get from this?
I get nothing from this.
Keep in mind that at the end of the day, we want as many people to run nodes as possible. Every node has its own mempool, and these nodes are communicating transactions across these different mempools, right? Mempool is like an auction house. This is a very important and dynamic concept in Bitcoin. This is like a battleground. It is an arena. the mempools, and you can assert certain controls over your mempool, and the policy for mempools is still being decided in real time. So it's like that's really what's going on here, and what's at stake is the peer-to-peer network of transactions, and then the incentives for how transactions get chosen by miners. So I just want to call out that Bitcoin Core, their fears are that not making this change will lead to miner centralization for various
really?
reasons. Yes, because it will incentivize people to go around the mempools because of the mempool's strict standardness rules and go directly to the miners, making it where the mempools are like the public bazaar that all the plebs have access to. But then there's this exclusive, white glove OTC desk that only the big dogs get to go to.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait,
like
okay,
rolling
wait,
out
wait,
the
wait.
red
Say that
carpet.
again. Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again slower. So you're telling me the reason Peter Todd and the rest of these people want to make this change is because it doesn't lead to mining centralization.
No, because they believe they want to make this change because they believe that without this change, we will have more miner centralization. Because they're basically saying Citria and everyone else that wants these alternative use cases, they are more and more going to go around the mempool directly to the miners. And then that's going to create this kind of dual market where there's the open market of the mempools, and then there's the private, paid, closed off market of going directly to the miners. And so I kind of equate it to like the
Oh,
public bazaar
interesting.
that all of us plebs have, the mempools that we can all see into. And then there's this like white glove OTC desk
Oh,
going direct to the
wow.
miners that you can do if you have money.
Oh, wow. So you're saying like the privatization of Bitcoin versus like the public.
A little bit, but kind of
Hmm.
both sides believe that either
Wow,
path
dude, you
leads
should
towards
read.
miner
Dang,
centralization.
you should write this out. Has anybody written about this part?
I mean, that's what the people are trying to do. It's complicated.
Dude, that's a whole nother can of worms.
I mean, if you go to
Because what if are they telling
mempool.space,
the truth? You think
well,
they're telling the truth?
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, well, in a sense, like
Has Peter Todd expressed this?
yes, it has been expressed.
Oh, wow.
It's here.
it's not a
Interesting.
secret.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, exactly. Like we want we want the open marketplace to be the number one place for all the economic activity to go, so that a small pool, a small miner, a small pleb can have the same view of the transactions
Yeah.
as Marathon, right? And the worry, there's only a few tiny transactions, and sorry, not tiny, but there's only a few transactions and a few parties that go directly to the miners today. It's not the most popular thing to go directly to the miners. Most people are still going into the mempool, or even if they do go to the miners, they also go to the mempool. And we, all of us plebs, can see into the mempool. But the fear around this change, really on both sides, is that it will more and more incentivize people to go directly to those miners and go around to the free market. And then if the miners control the mempools, right, or they have the best view of the mempool, what kind of future is that? What is the future of the mempools? And of course, this is what we're going to discuss this coming week at Bitcoin Plus Plus with all of the Bitcoin experts in the world. So I'm excited for those conversations, but it's a really big idea. It's a really big, what happens. And it's important to note, this has always been the case. You've always been able to go directly to the miners, but there hasn't always been the reasons. So these two marketplaces have kind of always existed, the private and the public. But now things are getting heated. There's more use cases. We're battling over those use cases.
Now that there's nation states involved, and now that there's like the deep state involved, the tethers of the world.
Exactly.
Now you're actually like fighting for for what's perceived power and greed and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
So,
people are saying my section of the open market, my mempool, I don't want transactions like that in my mempool. I'm going to keep you away,
yeah.
right? And
It's
mempools are looking more and more different.
mhm.
So that's kind of the big overarching
It's a
battle.
very
and
disgusting
we'll
thing.
close it there.
It's a very disgusting thing, really, to be honest. I don't like it. It's kind of one of those things like whenever you have something that's pure and people Keyan wrote about, or he shared a post this week about that. I don't know if you read it. It was like It was like the psychopath one or the
Oh right, yeah, geeks,
geeks, the one.
mobs,
yeah.
and psychopaths.
Yeah, that one. And it's kind of that post where it was kind of talking about that, where the psychopaths come in, they kill a pure thing, but it's yeah, it's just very
And distort
you know.
stuff.
Well, I don't I know you're not this way, Car, but you know, don't start accusing, don't start jumping to conclusions. Keep your mind open. It's very easy to say these people are corrupt, this is a conflict of interest, this stinks, this is evil. Time will tell, but you know, either way, we're being called to pay attention and wake up and learn. And so I think now is the time to do that. And you know, I hope I did the topic justice, but
Yeah, I'm listening. That's why I'm here. Cool. Let's jump into the number. We're still not done. Oh Lord. Help me.
Wait, is
help
this-
me,
This
Jesus.
is the same, right?
Yeah.